following podcast contains spoilers and words like and gosh. Mate, did we watch a thing this week?
Yeah, we did.
Hello everybody and welcome back to We Watched a Thing. It's your boy Beat Dizzle, and Topher is not with me yet again this week. He's still just sitting around at home thinking about babies. And instead, I've got a wonderful, wonderful guest, great friend of the show, friend for a long time. We started around the same time. It's our good friend from the Movie Journey podcast, Daniel Hendo Henderson. How you doing, buddy?
B Dizzle. It is great to be on the show, mate. Good to hear your lovely voice.
Oh, you. It's good to have you here. We've been on your show a couple of times doing the Pod v Pod, which long-time listeners of yours will know that I am exceptional at.
Oh, I think you're lying there, sir.
Yes, I may have lost every Pod v Pod I've been on. But this is the first time.
Topher had to go by himself to finally win one.
Yeah, that's embarrassing for me. But it's so good to finally have your voice over here on our neck of the woods. How you been?
Yeah, I'm doing all right down here. A little bit a state below yous. We had our COVID restrictions ease off recently, so it's getting a lot better down here. Cinemas finally opened back up, so I'm pretty keen to get back out there and start watching some movies in the dark room with the popcorn. Really, really can't wait for that.
Nice. Well, yes, this week we didn't get to the cinemas or anything. We watched a release that was dropping on Amazon. We are talking about Borat Subsequent Moviefilm, delivery of prodigious bribe to American regime for make benefit one's glorious nation of Kazakhstan. Very long.
Really rolls off the tongue.
It totally does. All right, so let's get into it then. Borat Subsequent Moviefilm is a 2020 American mockumentary comedy film directed by Jason Woliner in his feature directorial debut. It stars, of course, Sacha Baron Cohen as the fictional Borat Sagdiyev and Maria Bakalova as his daughter Tutar, and with a couple of cameos from real-life people popping up in there. All right, let's get into it then. Are you a fan of the original Borat?
Yeah, I really enjoy the original film, and I still do. I watched it about 6 months ago again, and I think it still holds up. I think there's when you see it the first time back in 2006, I think it was.
Right.
There was a lot of it's a film that you can just quote a lot. Borat is that classic character where you've just got all those quippy lines, that high five, my wife, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But watching it more recently, I feel like that's not what I was really paying attention to, and it's more so the inside jokes that he's going for and the way he sort of manipulates these bystanders who have no idea what's going on to say and do stuff that you wouldn't see in real life in a way. You know what I mean? Him going around America and catching these people off guard, making them think that it's something completely different to what it is.
Yeah.
And just some of the stuff they do and say is just absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, that's what I find is great about the Borat character. I don't remember being a huge fan of the original film, and I never watched the Ali G show or anything. But what I really do appreciate is that no matter how outrageous and over-the-top Borat is, he's never the most outrageous thing on screen, because
Exactly.
The real people are they're even more caricatures than you could actually make up, which I think is what really works about Borat.
And I think that's the genius of Sacha Baron Cohen, is that he has this knack of getting people to do this. The way he says stuff and the way he acts, he's never the one who's actually doing the most profane thing. It's more so he knows he knows his audience, he knows the people he's talking to, and he just needs to just give them that little push, and they'll do it for him.
Yeah, he's obviously really good at making people comfortable. I've had jobs before where a big part of it has been interviewing people, for television, radio, and the biggest part of the job is honestly just chatting to people before you start rolling and just making them comfortable so that they come across naturally and are natural. And he obviously is very, very good at that. I mean, obviously he lies to them. There's no question about that. Yeah. Nobody ever knows what is really being filmed, what its purpose is, stuff like that. But he's obviously a real people person, which really works in his favor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you rewatched the original about 6 months ago. How do you feel that this one holds up? Because I don't know about you, but I was shocked when I heard about this movie. This was a complete surprise, I think, to just about everyone, really, that this happened. It's been a very long time since the original.
Well, I remember seeing the article that came out about him at that rally when he dressed up as the country singer, and I saw the video of him doing that, and it never even clicked that he was doing another film like this. Like, I thought it might have been something to do with his This Is America, I believe, the show that he did. I thought it was going to have something to do with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, when it came up that second Borat film's coming out, I'm like, it seemed very timely. Like, it's like you feel like, well, the election's just about to come out, so yeah, I feel like he's definitely got his side of the agenda here. He wants to promote, and he really pushes that.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I feel like this film is even more political than the first one. I don't think there's any questioning that. It's a very politically motivated film. I've read some critique, and I've heard some others say that one thing they don't like about this film is that they feel like it's more scripted and like there are less truly interactive moments. But maybe I'm in the minority, because I actually preferred this film to the original, and I think that the scripted storyline that goes through it about him and his daughter actually adds a really, really nice touch to it, I think. And it's a clever move to have her there. You know, obviously you've got him in the disguises and stuff, but he is a very recognizable face. So to have this unknown come in as a character that can help lull these people into a false sense of security was a smart move from the start. But I think the way that they wove it into the story really actually worked for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the story that they have with him and his daughter, it actually works really well. And I think that they have some really good chemistry with each other in those scenes where he doesn't have the hidden cameras on everyone else. But I feel like where this film does falter is in those hidden camera moments, or those times where he is trying to get people to do and say what he wants, because that is where I feel like it is like much more scripted than what the original Borat was when he was doing that to these people. This really felt like, it kind of felt like a lot of these people were in on it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've read some things about, and as I said, obviously a lot of them were lied to. You look at the debutante ball, they knew that thing was staged. They didn't know what it was for. I don't know how much they knew. I'm sure they didn't know about the menstrual bloodness of it all.
I don't think they knew any of that, but I actually think with the debutante ball, that was actually a standout, because there's never a full camera in their face. Like the ones where he's talking to people one-on-one, the stuff that he's actually doing and saying, it just feels like this, at least a couple of these people had to have been in on the joke and were going along with it. Whereas, you know, especially with the original Borat, where they've really gone along with this. This is a, you know, someone from Kazakhstan who's learning about America. They're really trying to educate this person, where here it just feels like it's like it is little comedic vignettes. Yeah. But a lot of them, he's just really trying to push them to do and say the wrong things, and the way they do go along with it, it kind of feels like no one for this reason would go along with this.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Even the people who come across very well, like for example the babysitter who looks after his daughter. Now, she comes across very, very well in the film, and I know that there's been a bit of controversy because she is a huge part of the film, didn't get paid much, and I saw that there was a GoFundMe campaign that ended up getting, I think, around $70,000 or so for her.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read that she was under the impression it was a documentary about like young women being like forced to marry older men.
And here's the thing for me, I think that premise alone is too much info. I think that already kind of sways her to, and obviously, you know, they're going to tell these people what they need to tell them to get what they want out of the story. So they wanted her to be that comforting, you know, no, that's not right. But I feel like, you know, that backstory is too much sway towards that. And I mean, I don't know what else they could have told her, but I just feel like that. And it's the same with the old women at the synagogue. They were told that it was a documentary about, you know, this guy, you need to convince him that, you know, the Holocaust happened and stuff. And I just feel like that's too much. That's just giving away too much of what the story is. And that's why you don't get those genuine reactions, I think.
Yeah, but I think that's where the problem lies with having this Borat character and his style of movie, this mockumentary. While having this sub-story of him and his daughter, you need to have the hidden camera stuff coincide with that, which means they have to push those, you know, fake stories to these people so that it works with it. With the original Borat, what's his story there? He's doing a fake documentary for Kazakhstan about America, and he's trying to find Pamela Anderson. I mean, that's literally it. Like, he can do anything with that.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's where I think that while the scripted story in this film works very well with their relationship, it makes the hidden camera stuff flounder.
I agree. Yeah, I think there are two hidden camera things that really stand out to me. The first is the guy at the electronics shop that Borat uses to fax things. I think that is one of the ones that stands out. And again, it's what works about that is that they're not relying on that guy for anything other than to kind of not react, really.
Yeah, exactly.
That, and I did laugh quite a bit when they were at the abortion center after she ate the baby cupcake. I had a chuckle at that. I think they're the two that really stand out for me. Everything else, I tend to agree with you that I don't think they really worked all that well.
Like, I feel like some of the ones where, like the one where he's talking to the guy about putting her in the cage, like which cage is good for, the girl. And like, I feel, so even if these people are genuinely real and the way they are acting, it's kind of like they're being peer pressured. Like it's uncomfortable to say no.
Yeah.
Like the woman who has to put that slogan on the cake. Like is she really going to be is she going to be pressurized to say, no, I'm not going to do this? It's just so, all right, let's just do this and get this done.
Yes. I agree with you. I tend to not like what I class as nasty humor. I don't like when humor is at someone else's expense, which I feel like for a lot of this movie it is. Even like you look at the rednecks, like, okay, sure, they're rednecks and they think that Democrats are worse than COVID. And that's not a great opinion to have. But at the same time, they let this guy into their house and he stays with them for like 5 days. So, and yet we're kind of meant to go along with having a joke at their expense and, like, look how stupid these people are. But they're pretty nice guys, really.
Yeah, they seem like genuine nice guys who have just, kind of been told the wrong thing and have gone along with it.
Yeah, and so that's always been my problem with hidden camera humor. I much prefer hidden camera stuff when it is at the actor's expense, like, I don't know if you've ever watched Impractical Jokers, but they do a lot of stuff where they are the butt of the joke, and for me that's what really works, and you're just kind of capturing other people's reactions, whereas I think for this there's too much where it is just making fun of genuine people.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. What do you think about the whole political agenda here? Us being Australians, and I really don't know too much about American politics at all. What was your stance on how far he was leaning towards the Trump and the Pence of it all?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has their agenda. Like, this is, in a lot of ways, this reminded me mostly of a Michael Moore film, really, rather than a Borat film. Like, I think that this is, it's very political. And look, as far as the agenda goes, I guess I tend to lean more left. So for me, I'm like, yeah, this is my side. I'm okay with this. But at the same time, I mean, most people who are left and most people who are right are right. And you're not going to change anyone's opinion by doing a film like this. So while it is kind of funny for people who lean to the left to, have a laugh at this and, laugh at the rednecks who think Democrats are worse than COVID, like, that's all good and well. But I mean, you are definitely limiting your audience. Like, there's not a Republican in sight who is going to watch and enjoy this movie, and you're really not changing anyone's opinions. I know that he was very, very firm on getting this out before the election, because I know it was meant to go theatrical, and then obviously it got moved to Amazon, but he was very keen on still getting it out before the election. But yeah, to me, I'm a little bit like, I mean, why? You're not going to change anything.
Yeah, and I feel like with him really trying to push this agenda, it's much easier to see where he's edited it to his portion. Like the Rudy Giuliani stuff, while it's clearly awful, and that I just, as someone who does a podcast and does a lot of editing, you can really tell where the things aren't supposed to be there, especially in that scene. Like some of the sound bites that they use, you don't see them talking. They cut to certain shots that are clearly not happening at that exact moment, really just to push the agenda that, Giuliani, he's a big piece of shit. When, like you said, anyone who thinks he's a big piece of shit already thinks he's a big piece of shit.
That's right. Yeah.
And anyone who doesn't isn't going to change their mind over this.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, we've seen that in the last couple of weeks. Like, we've all had a great laugh at him hosting a press conference outside of that landscaping company. But, anyone who's already a Republican is like, hey, he's supporting small businesses. Like, Yeah, I agree with you. And just to prove your point about editing, I'm going to insert a little sound drop here of you saying something that you wouldn't normally say, just to have a little bit of fun.
It must be me saying, like, sometimes you got to knuckle dean. It's so hard. You literally had like a 2-hour window, like on a Wednesday, like at midday to knuckle dean.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think that brings me to what I was going to bring up next. I don't really rate the overall construction of the film, the editing, just the way it's put together. I was actually quite surprised to learn that this film was going to be theatrical, because at least to me, it feels much more to me like a TV special than it does a film. I don't feel like this really stands alone as a movie. And while the first Borat definitely entered the cultural zeitgeist as, I mean, as you said, he's very quotable, very nice, and my wife, like that stuff that's like 15 years old now and people still say it. I really can't see this one holding the same weight to it. And not just because it went straight to streaming. It doesn't have that same feel for me, I think.
I also feel like this film is going to age poorly as well.
Yeah? Yeah, in what way?
I mean, in political wise, like now that the election is, virtually over, watching it after the fact is you're going to be watching a whole lot of political nonsense, and it's not going to have the same lasting power as, say, original Borat would, where, there's nothing he's pushing it. Like, you can just watch that for the story that it is.
Yep, that's true. Yep, definitely.
I must say I like how he lent into the fact that people recognize Borat now. How his character of Borat goes back to America and people start chasing him on the streets. I thought that was ingenious how he did that, and how Borat now has to be in disguise. So Sacha Baron Cohen in disguise, in disguise.
I know, it's that next level meta-ness. It's like Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder, where it's like, he's a guy playing another guy. Something about that it gives you a little chuckle. Like, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
Especially when he really hams that up, like when he is, like the country singer, and he really is, you can see that that's not Sacha Baron Cohen pretending to be that guy. That's Borat pretending to be that guy. There's something about that is really fun.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. What did you think of the big end revelation, like the whole coronavirus reveal?
Yeah, see, this is part of the problem, and I agree with you that this is where it's really going to date, and I think this is why it felt more like a special to me. Like, I think of things lately like, I don't know if you're a South Park watcher, but they recently did a pandemic special that was like a feature length on coronavirus. And
yeah, I stopped watching South Park a couple of years ago. Around when they started doing the whole Trump stuff, I was like, okay, I'm a bit over it now.
Yep, and it's a little bit the same reason as you probably weren't as engaged in this movie. It feels very, it's got its agenda, which is great, and as I said, I actually, politically, I guess I agree with the agenda, but I don't find that stuff as entertaining to watch, really, because it's all a little bit too real and it's all a little bit too present. Like you say, it's not the kind of thing you're going to rewatch in a year or two. And I know that obviously this is a little bit different because it is, I mean, it's a mockumentary, but for all intents and purposes, it's filmed like a documentary. They're filming this in real time. They've got hundreds of hours of footage. And of course, they were unfortunately filming during coronavirus. So I can imagine that this all involved rewrites to get to where it is. And for me, it feels messy. It doesn't feel coherent with the rest of the film. And as you say, it definitely dates it. So I kind of wish that they had done what they could to ignore the coronavirus, or at least not lean into it in that last kind of 10 minutes like they did.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I'm sure there are some people out there who found it funny, but I mean, as you say, I certainly can't imagine rewatching this in 10 years.
Well, I did rewatch this for the show today because I watched it when it first came out, and then when we decided to do Borat, I went and rewatched it, and I actually lowered it after watching it the second time because it just didn't have that staying power like we've just discussed.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. For me, I think the real breakout is Maria Bakalova. I think that she, for me, is the star of this film. I think that she adds a lot of heart to it, which I guess is hard to imagine when you're talking about the Borat character having heart. But, and it's interesting that we got two kind of very, very, very long after sequels this year about a father-daughter relationship. And this knocked Jay and Silent Bob Reboot out of the park for me in terms of the emotion of it. Like,
really?
Who would have, like, Kevin Smith can be such a great writer, but this film somehow managed to have more emotion in it than that in the father-daughter relationship. I was surprised by that.
I agree. I think Maria Bakalova is the absolute standout of this film, and if she was not in this film, it would be a train wreck. Like it would be nowhere near as good as it would have been if she wasn't there. I feel like even the scenes where she does the hidden camera stuff by herself, I think they're more the standout scenes than when Borat's doing his hidden stuff. That one when she's at the women's rally and she, she realizes what she can finally do, and that book that she's got is ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
And she throws that out the window, and then when she gets on the podium and starts talking to them all, like I was in fits.
Yeah. I agree. I think that her standalone hidden camera stuff is better than his in this film, and I think that she just adds a lot to the movie. Chops to her, because I'd imagine that the majority of this film, even the quote unquote scripted scenes, would probably be pretty heavily improvised. So I think she's shown a lot of comedic chops in this film. So I'll be curious to see where she goes next, because I think she was great.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what she does after this too. Maybe Borat 3?
Yeah.
So with this film and with the original Borat, there's little tiny nuggets of jokes that come in. Like you obviously got your big hidden camera portions. They take up a big chunk of the comedy, but there's also just like throwaway lines or quick throwaway gags and that. The one that really stood out to me was when they're at the very start of the film, when he's talking about how he made a mockery of his country and everyone was disappointed and like people were throwing themselves off the highest building, and it's just the guy who just jumps off the second story.
Yeah. The bit that really makes that work is then when he stands up and just walks away.
He just gets up and walks away.
The direction he walks off in, it almost looked like to me like he was walking back towards the building to climb up and do it again.
Give it another go. Maybe I should go head first this time.
Yeah. No, I agree. There are some parts of this film that, they kind of make you cringe a bit. Any kind of racial comedy really makes me a little bit uncomfortable. I've got very good friends who are Jewish, and I know that obviously Sacha Baron Cohen is not anti-Semitic, so it's not serious, but there are some of the Jewish jokes that get a little bit heavy-handed for me, and I know that the Kazakhstan stuff, I believe that they've kind of after this film kind of welcomed him back a bit. But I know that after the first Borat, the community of Kazakhstan was very unhappy.
Oh, yeah. There was massive backlash.
So, yeah, I personally find that kind of stuff, I find that far harder to watch than any of the, the debutante ball scene was nothing compared to him going into that synagogue with the big long nose on his face and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff is, for me, a little bit hard.
Yeah, that was a rough scene. I find the debutante ball had one of my more genuine reactions when he's whispering to the dad, like, how much for my daughter, and he genuinely whispers, "Oh yeah, about $500," and his daughter just turns to him and just gives him like that look, like that's fucking gross, like that's genuine, that is absolutely genuine there, and I was in fits, like I'm like, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. But I agree with you as far as the scripted stuff goes. The stuff at the start about why he had to leave Kazakhstan, there was some very good stuff in there.
I do like the reversal when he's celebrating that he's leaving and now everyone's booing at him as opposed to last time when they were cheering.
Yep.
Like even just those little throwbacks to the original where it's just reversed. Like there is some like genius stuff in here, but I just don't think there was enough of it.
Would you rewatch the first one again? Well, here's a question. Would you recommend that I rewatch the first one again? Because I haven't seen it probably since it came out.
Yeah, I reckon you should, because I think it's better to look at it now when you watch it when you watched it back then, and you're really just looking at those quippy remarks that he does, and where's the mankini, and the high five and all that sort of stuff. You watch it now where all that stuff, like the fad, has gone, and you actually go and watch it for what's actually happening in the movie with the specific jokes and gags that aren't his quips. I think it works a little better.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I just the thing about the first one is just how quotable it is. Like you said, like you come across people on the street and they'll just yell out, very nice. And you're like, I think you're old enough for that. All right. So how are you scoring this one?
Look, the first time I saw it, I did give it a 6 out of 10, but I'm actually going to put it down to a 5 out of 10 now. Yep.
I think that's exactly right on the nose. I'm a 5 out of 10 as well. I think there's certainly enjoyable stuff here. And I think if you're political at all, particularly left-leaning, I think there's definitely stuff here you'll get enjoyment out of. I just don't think for me it works well enough as a movie in its own right, I think, is my biggest problem with it.
No, I agree with that.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me here, Hendo. Tell our good listeners where they can find your show. I'm sure that they're already all listening, but tell them anyway.
Well, if you're not listening, we are at the Movie Journey. That is anywhere you can find regular podcasts, Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, all the regular podcast catchers and some of the obscure podcast catchers. I'm sure we're over there. You can find us on Twitter at the Movie Journey, and you can find us on Facebook. Just search for the Movie Journey. It's basically just type in the Movie Journey podcast, and there's our list.
It's a fantastic show. I've been a listener for a long time. You guys started literally, I think, the month after us or something, and we kind of became fast Twitter friends when we were both trying to build up our shows. And you guys have just gone from strength to strength. It's just a wonderful show. There's so much variety, so I can highly recommend listening. If you like our show and what we do, where we have a bit of a laugh and watch a movie, then you'll definitely like the Movie Journey. So give it a try.
Thank you very much, mate.
No worries. Alrighty. Plans are that hopefully Topher will be back next week. We'll be checking out Mank together if all goes well. So look forward to that. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at wewatchedathing.com or wewatchedathing@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under the handle at wewatchedathing. If you want to help support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/wewatchedathing, and we will catch you next week.
Wait, can I say, Topher? Go watch a movie.
Excellent.